My camera timed out. I had to turn it back on.
Oh, yeah. I hear you. That's what happened. You get a couple of good guys talking. Yeah, the record time with the camera.
A lot more than that happened. That's the second time it's happened now. Who was it with before? Can't remember. It was just a young fella too. Anyway.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. I can't remember who it was.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but no, Ben Askren, he's a paradox, really, when you think about it, because he trains with Duke Rufus.
Right.
You know?
He's one of the best striking coaches in the world, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I think a lot of these guys, man, they just, it's second nature, right? They just revert back to what they know and what they're comfortable with. And Ben Askren, hey, man, I mean, for all intents and purposes, he's not in this game to make it fun. He's not in this game to make it flashy. He's in this game to get paid, and he's in this game to put away opponents and to retain his belt. And you can't hate him for that, because although to guys like you and me, he's boring as shit, he's getting paid, and he puts people away, and he does his job very, very well. And a lot of guys, I respect that to a certain point, because he doesn't pander to the crowd. He doesn't pander to what expectations are. You got to make your fights more exciting. I got to win. That's what I got to do. I got to win, and that's all it takes. And if your bread and butter is wrestling, and as everybody knows, he's an NCAA or world-class collegiate athlete in wrestling. Hey, if that's your bread and butter, man, how can I tell you no? It's the same thing with Paul Harris, right? Doing leg locks and stuff like that. You know that if he gets a hold of your leg or your ankle, it's over. It's done. Yeah. You know what I mean? So how can you get mad at a guy like that? I can't get mad at him. I won't have him on my show, but I'm not going to get mad at him for doing what he does. Yeah.
Well, because you look at a guy like Paul Harris, and it's like, you can't ask him what his game plan is, because you already fucking know it. The rest of the world knows it too. I'm going to grab his leg and rip it off. God, yeah, all right.
Right? You got to respect that, man. You just got to know, hey, I can't leave my leg out for this guy to get a hold of, because he's going to rip it. He's going to take it home with him.
Yeah. I think it'll be an interesting matchup between him and Jake Shields. I really do. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting.
Well, you take and you know what? And speaking of, I noticed that on that cold late card that's coming up in June. One of my old clients as well, Tim Camelli, taking on Jared McComb, man. That's gonna be, and Jared McComb, man, here's a kid that I've just been impressed with nonstop, man. I love Tim, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But Jared is someone I've just been having my eyes on, man. That guy is, he's doing really, really good.
Well, when these guys decide, when the time's right and they come into their own, things happen so fast for them, man. You know? And they've actually put together a really decent card for this show up here. I'm going to be doing, I'll do a breakdown before the card here. Now I'll be doing one also with the habit card in red deer. I'll be breaking that down, individual fights. Great cards, man. And you know what I like about the small local shows is I like the guys that are coming in with a 1-0 and a 2-0 record. Or what these guys are coming in. They're still got that hunger. They're out to make a name. They're out to make a statement every fucking fight, right? And for me, that's just something I can get a bigger thrill out of a card like that than I do out of, say, UFC Adelaide. That just went down.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? And that's the beauty of the sport. Like you and I talked about. Just some of the accessibility to athletes and some of the characters that fighters that are out there. And I really believe that's part of the beauty of the sport, is that you don't know who you're interviewing. You could be interviewing the next world heavyweight champion. Guys like Chelino, right? Where I was introduced to Chelino a long, long time before he became a champion. But there's just something is inside these guys that it's just very special. And guys like Ryan Ford and stuff like that. So to be able to have these guys on the show, to go and watch them live, and to have that accessibility, man, is just second to none. I mean, where else are you going to get that? And to see these guys progress in the fighting career that they have, man, it's absolutely amazing. And it's been an honor for me to be a part of that community and to see these guys, just develop as athletes, develop as young men and women. I've seen a lot of women progress in the sport, And so to see that transformation happen and be a part of that has been just an absolute honor, man.
Oh,
That's
for sure. And like another young fella I'm watching right now real close is Austin G. Ryan. This kid is something special. I really think he is, you know.
Absolutely.
It'd be very interesting to see how he develops. Because you got to remember, we got John the Bull McDessie. He only fought 7 pro fights before he got up to the UFC. It doesn't. If you're impressive, you're impressive.
That's right.
And someone big will come knocking sooner or later. And with McDessie, it was sooner. Yeah, but Austin G. Ryan, this kid is something special. I really think he is. You know, we won't be seeing him fight this time though. He trains. I was going to say he trains with such a great group of guys too. I think he's with Gary Vig out in Red Deer. Yeah. I think that's where he's from, isn't he? Rashido, I think. Yeah.
And I mean, Rashido, you know those guys. I mean, those guys train hard. They got something in the water out there. But I mean, you got guys like Ryan Mahan and Advinomic and the Davis brothers and I mean, that's a huge stable full of guys that are going to keep you better as a fighter. And Ryan he's pulled off what? 5-0 or something right now, isn't he?
I believe he's 5-0 right now. Yeah.
Incredible talent, man.
Yeah, and Mike Davis is fighting on this card coming up. I had him on the show just a little while ago. Who else I got? I got Adam Lorenz will be on the show Friday night.
Another great guy.
Yeah.
I love Adam.
You want to know something crazy? I'm talking with Adam, and we're lining it up, and we're just chatting back and forth on Facebook there. And he lives in Saskatoon. And the funny thing about Adam is I started training jiu-jitsu when I was 46. And and I didn't really pay attention to who was there. And it turns out we both trained at Alliance together. So
holy shit! Yeah. No way.
Yeah. So it'll be
back in the day, man.
It'll be a cool show. Yeah. We looking forward to it.
That's amazing, man. What a great connection.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So we'll have some.
That is cool.
Stuff to talk about for sure. I'm still trying to get Noah Ali on the show, but I don't know. I've yet to capture Noah. I know he trains, I want to say Champions Street as well with Brian Bird and those guys. But yeah, he's been around the scene for a long time, man. He's a great talent too. He is. Yeah. He is too. He was actually on the Draco Impact Sports Show over there about 2-3 weeks ago now. 3 weeks ago now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. He's like the elusive unicorn. He's hard to nail down. But once you get it, man, you got to savor the flavor, brother.
But there's another guy. I like his style. I like the way he does things inside the cage. You know. And, So hopefully I can get him on the show, get him nailed down before the June June 19th card comes down.
Beautiful. And hey, man, if there's anything I can do, like I said, I'm a huge fan, and I'm all about furthering the sport, man. Like that's the one thing is that I love that shows like this are not competitive in any way. Hey, we're not making millions from it. We're not infringing on each other's sponsorship or tax dollars or whatever it is. So hey, man, if there's anybody I can throw over to you or vice versa, man, you know what? Let's definitely make it happen.
Oh,
man.
for sure, brother.
I'm a huge fan of the Chinny G show, man, and I think you're doing great things.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. I'm a fan of yours too, as you know. And Jake does other things too. Jake has a couple of other podcasts. You got the Daily Show.
I do the Daily Show.
Yeah. And
that's the thing. I feel the need to explain the Daily Show to people because I don't think they quite understand it. The Daily Show is kind of like my little baby. It's a funny show, just in the sense of I don't think all the people really get it yet, but I'll let them in here on a Chinny G exclusive. I'll let people in on a little secret about the Jake Hirsch Daily Show. So what the premise is that I bring on crazy guests. I've got these people that call into the show that are just fucking crazy as shit. They want to do, parades in the middle of the street. They want to shut down City Hall. They want to do all this, they have all these crazy ideas. And I have some really interesting characters that sit inside the studio with me. I've got a retired rabbi. I've got Luther, who's the in-studio producer. I've got a bunch of people behind the scenes that all make it work. The one thing that people don't understand about that show is that it's all me. I do voices on the radio. I do voices on the microphone. So it's me picking up stuff, and I don't know if you could, you know what, let me give you a little taste of it here. Can you, let me see. I don't know this. I don't think this is going to work, actually. I've got a phone in my studio, like an old rotary phone, and I do voices on the microphone here, and I do voices of all the other characters. So if I want to be Luther, I go down here. Hey, this is Luther, everybody. Yeah. And so I'll do a voice like, and so I'll go back and forth. So basically what I'm doing is I'm pissing a lot of people off with these crazy guests and these crazy interviews, but they can never get mad at me because I'm never the bad guy. Right? I'm doing all the voices and all the callers, like awesome. The voices of the in-studio guys. So it's a labor of love. It's a lot of fun, and we just have some, a really good time on it. But at any point in time, if people want to see me do that show, I do up to I've got 20 characters that I do all the different voices for, and it's just an outlet for me. It's comedy, and I have a great time with it. The Friday Night Lights podcast is that's been my number one show from day one. That's where I make my money essentially, and it's been just a tremendous thing for me and for my career in broadcasting. I was never a broadcast guy. People don't know that. People are always saying, "What was this guy doing?" Yeah, I managed fighters. I worked in law enforcement for 15 years, and so I've been in all different aspects of business and work and all that type of stuff. And so for me to transition into this stuff, to leave my career in law enforcement and do all that type of stuff, and to transition into broadcasting has been a dream come true. To wake up every day and to come out and to work on on shows and to interview fascinating people and celebrities, and I've made some amazing friends. I'm going to be having a huge announcement coming up here in the next probably month or so. That's why I've been kind of laying low on some of the other shows. I've got a huge announcement coming up, and when I do, you'll be one of the first guys that I'll come to and make that announcement. Man.
Cool, brother. You I noticed you're a fan of the 100.
I never thought I would be. I'm a big sci-fi guy, right? I love Star Wars. I love the new Star Trek movies. I was never a fan of the old Star Trek stuff, but man, something about these young directors and these guys that are coming up writing these really amazing storylines and stuff like that. And anybody who hasn't seen the 100, I never really knew about it. My younger brother told me, "Hey man, you got to check this show out on Netflix. It's really good." And then I started talking about it. My daughter comes in and she's like, "You watched the 100?" I was like, "What? I didn't know you watched." I was like, "Yeah, I just kind of got into it." And I was blessed enough to kind of become friends with one of the actors on their agent, their publicist, I should say. And through that publicist, I was able to make some really amazing connections down in Hollywood. And I was fortunate to have Ricky Whittle, who plays Lincoln on the 100, on my show. And I think the coolest thing about it, Jimmy, is having a phone with so many contacts. From everybody from Dana White to Joe Silva to Darren Owen to Mark Pavlich to Ricky Whittle to the Trailer Park Boys to I've been able to rub elbows with a lot of really cool people, and I can't be more thankful and more blessed for that, man.
Yeah, I caught the show with Lincoln on it actually.
Yeah.
He was like, "Well, no," because I saw it on Facebook. I said, "What?"
I honestly had no idea the reach that guy had. I really didn't. I mean, he's the star of the show, and I'm like, okay, it's probably going to be, we averaged some pretty good numbers on the Friday Night Lights show, and nothing what I expected with the Ricky Whittle interview, man. I think on Twitter, they send you those updates where you get like the, this is what your week has looked like on Twitter. I think the last time I checked, I had, I think it was 170,000 impressions on Twitter. So it skyrocketed. I think it was close to 500 and something retweets, thousands of, favorites. And of course the impressions on Twitter, some people look at it and they're like, oh, how does Twitter work? There's, for guys like us, analytics for your show and to see how many people engage with your show and how many listeners you have. I'm obsessed with that type of stuff. I love knowing whether or not I'm getting out there to people and people are enjoying it and sharing it and stuff like that. So those little social media platforms like Twitter allow me to have a little bit of insight as to how many people this show is actually reaching. And to see 170,000 impressions, man, I was just like, I gotta have guys like this on my show more, man. You know what I mean? This guy's great.
Yeah.
This for my show.
Well, the 100 grabbed a following really quick. I've seen every episode, man. I've seen it all. And I still go to Netflix. Wife says, "You saw that already?" I said, "No."
And we had that conversation. I mean, on the show, I said, you know what? Like, it's fascinating. To learn how to find out about a show. And I always tell people it's like the sci-fi version of Dancing with the Wolves, right? You know, the outsiders come in and they're looking to disrupt the cohesive and peaceful environment that native people have had, and it's a great storyline, man. They're doing amazing stuff for that show.
Yeah, absolutely. I can hardly wait till next season starts. I'm already itching, man. It's better than the Hunger Games. Oh, me fucking Hunger Games. Love that shit.
Absolutely.
Oh man. But no, it's funny because you are so diverse in what you like to do. I mean, you just right fucking out there, man. You know.
I feel. They always say is the Jake of all trades, right? This guy, he's always doing something. People don't know I also have a video production business that I do stuff on the side with. So I'm shooting a pilot right now with a former MMA fighter. I can't release the name yet, but not a big guy, but he's very well known around the jiu-jitsu circuit. Very tough competitor, very respected jiu-jitsu guy. But people don't know that he's a Red Seal chef. And so we're shooting a pilot right now for the Food Network, where we're going to be doing meals from a fighter for guys, guys who want to cook, and every week we're going to have something new. We're going to shoot. You have the girlfriend coming over for supper one night. What are you going to cook her? Something fast and easy that's going to look amazing. And so this guy just does amazing stuff with food. So we're shooting a pilot with that. I also do a lot of production videos. I shoot YouTube commercials. I do a whole bunch of shit, man. I always got to keep busy and doing something.
Chinny's a chef.
Are you really?
No shit.
To cook, huh?
25 years, man. We run hotel kitchens. Done it all, and I just actually got to a point where I couldn't work for anybody anymore because I figured they're all fucking idiots.
That seems to be the thing. That seems to be the regular thing. I just had an interview today with I call it Chef Week this week on the Friday Night Lights podcast. I interviewed a couple of chefs, and I went down and I interviewed an executive chef today over at a restaurant called Rodney's Oyster House here in Calgary, a real 5-star dining place, and getting to the minds. But that seems to be the common theme, man. It's like I can't fucking work for other people. They drive me crazy, man. You for some very demanding people, and of course, as you know, working in the kitchen, it can get pretty intense back there.
Well, yeah, but some of us are made for that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like that stress level and whatnot. For me, the waitresses loved me because I didn't allow my people to swear at them or argue with them or anything. I just didn't allow it. And you always knew when I was getting mad because I started reciting green eggs and ham, and everybody just get the fuck out of my way. Fuck, here comes Dr. Seuss.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, and they get out of the way. But yeah, it takes a special type of person to do that kind of work. And for me, I quit doing it up when I was up in Fort Mac. Actually, I ran the kitchen at the Podolin Inn up there, and I finally I just had enough. The owner gave the restaurant, gave the hotel to his son to run. And
I can only imagine what that bird.
I want you to take lobster off the menu, Lord. What the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck did you just say to me, man?
That's amazing, man. It's amazing how people come in and they have a recipe for success, and they have such a great formula, and they just want to fuck around with it, man. They want to screw around with it.
Well, it's funny.
I never understand it.
It's funny because my little kitchen there at the time was responsible for 25% of the pub sales.
Wow.
Yeah, that's fucking unheard of, buddy. 12% is the margin.
Yeah. That's a chunk of change right there.
You know, and you're gonna come and tell me that you want me to do things differently? Don't break what's not fixed. You know what I mean? Don't fix what's not broken. I mean,
broken. Absolutely.
I had guys coming to me. I'd run T-bone steaks on for $12 once a week.
Wow.
Right? And
but I guarantee you have a full house.
Every time, sold out every time. Right?
Yeah.
But I had people, they'd come to me, they said, we used to go to the Keg, we don't go there no more. we come here for your steaks now. And not just on Tuesdays, but that Tuesday, that $12 T-bone primer got them coming back every fucking night. And I don't know if you know Fort McMurray well at all or not, but when those buses come in at 8 o'clock at night, everybody gets fucking busy now.
Some hungry boys up there.
Yeah. So you can either have them come to your place, or they're going to go across the street to Boston Pizza, or they're going to go down and walk to the Keg. What do you want them to do? Where do you want them? You know? Yeah, exactly. I lose a little bit on the T-bones once a week. But the rest of
but that's the draw, man. You get them to come in, right? You bring them in, they have a taste of what it's like there, and then they keep coming back.
Dude, I do a cream of salmon soup that'll blow your fucking mind.
Really?
Seriously.
And you know what? I just had an idea, Chinny. I just had a monstrous idea here. You should do the annual Chinny G barbecue and invite over all the fighters, do a big show. Even go do it, it's like the tailgate party, man. Go do it in the parking lot of the World Series of Fighting the night before the fight. So all the fighters, you can go in there and cook them steak and all that type of stuff, man. The Chinny G barbecue extravaganza once a year.
Yeah, they're all up for gaining weight at that time.
Exactly.
Day before the fight.
Go in there, man.
Done the weigh-ins, let's do this.
Yeah. I'll tell you a funny story, man. There's a trainer out of American Kickboxing Academy by the name of Crazy Bob Cook. And Crazy Bob Cook is the guy, the real scientist in the laboratory behind American Kickboxing. So we're talking about guys like Josh Kozlachek and Cain Velasquez and Daniel Cormier. I mean, Crazy Bob Cook is one of the masterminds behind AKA. And who was it that used to have their annual barbecue? I don't know if it was Randy Couture or if it was Chuck Liddell. No. Dan Henderson has an annual pig roast. Dan, if you don't know Dan Henderson's place, he's got a really beautiful place outside of town, down in Southern California. He's got lots of property and everything, but he puts together a pig roast every year, and some of the biggest stars in MMA show up, and it's just an annual fun party, and people get to be a part of it, and it's amazing. But there was an agent back in the day, Ken Pavia, who was the very first big-time agent. He started MMA agents back in the day, and I remember Crazy Bob Cook getting upset at him for some reason. I think it was, I think Ken had maybe poached the fighter or something from him. There was some disagreement out there at this party, apparently, and Crazy Bob Cook was shoving grass in Ken Pavia's mouth like a kid on the playground, man. So some of these barbecues, man, they have some of the greatest stories.
Oh, no doubt.
It's the craziest people, man. Oh, yeah, it was great, man. It was great.
No doubt, man.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun cooking. No, those were good times for me. But I do. I'm a stay-at-home dad now. I got up from cooking. Yeah, I got out from cooking, and then I went into insulating.
Right.
And then I had I met the lady I'm with now in Fort Mac, and
right.
I actually ended up going to work for her after I was done with the kitchens. I washed my hands in the kitchens, and wow, here we are, almost 9 years later, 2 kids later.
Holy shit!
No shit, man. I
had.
had.
So, man, that's amazing.
I started my this family when I was 40 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, my youngest.
No kidding.
Yeah, my youngest is 5, just turned.
Oh shit! That is crazy, man.
And she's got a really good job, and she's career oriented. So I said, well, no problem. I can stay at home with the kids. You know.
That's amazing, man. Yeah. I remember one of the very first videos that you had posted. I think you were out in the garage, and I think there was quite a bit of snow outside. I think you had the snow blower or something you were messing around with. The garage. I remember seeing. I was like, "Who is this guy? Who is this character, man? This guy's a handful, man. I love it. It's great, man." So you got a really great property up there.
It's nice up here, yeah. I can actually throw a rock and hit the lake from my front door.
Oh man, unbelievable, beautiful.
Yeah, it's all right. I don't mind it. It took some getting used to though, because I grew up in well, not so much grew up in, but I'm from the cities. I spent most of my life in cities, so coming out here, and we live literally on the last road of town. So. Wow. So we're actually 15-20 minute ride from the city itself, right?
Oh wow!
So it's nice.
Lots of peace and quiet out there.
Yeah, but you gotta, you know, instead of watching further out, you gotta watch for fucking bears. So the kids say, "Why can't I be outside by myself?" You're just a little snack, honey. That's why.
Oh man.
But
it's such a trip having kids, man, and seeing them grow up and providing, you know, it's just stuff that, you know, my parents probably did, or, you know, my mother did, you know, growing up, and so to come full circle and to be that figure in my child's life now, and it's great, man, you know what I mean, and especially you got such a, you know, obviously great parents and a great home there, and I think that really is the foundation, man, for kids growing up and to see them down the right path, man.
Yeah, you know, that there's no, like, we don't move around. We're not gypsies. You know, like, you know, my mom wasn't a gypsy. You know, so you know, and I see a lot of
stability and consistency.
I see a lot of it with my friends and stuff. They're moving every fucking 6 months or something retarded like that. And you know, you got to have some consistency when you have kids. You can't just be uprooting them all the time. You know, but
absolutely.
You know that and my kids are great, man. They the little chinnies, I call them.
The little chinnies, huh?
Yeah.
You'll probably have a show with them at some point here soon too.
Oh,
the little chinny show.
They'll get on sooner or later. But buddy, my little guy, he can't stay still that long. Oh, he's 5, right?
Right.
And all he's concerned about are his fucking cars. That's it. I swear to God, this kid's got 743 cars, okay? It's not enough. It's not enough. He needs more.
Unbelievable.
On the upside,
the collection.
On the upside, they are great deterrents to burglars, because I step on them all the time, and I don't care how quiet you're trying to be. You step on one of those motherfuckers, you're gonna let out a howl.
Oh man, that's funny, dude. That is great. That's very true. It's like a Home Alone. Those guys come in the front door and step all over the matchbox. Fuck, does that hurt us out? Oh man, that's dynamite.
Yeah, so I'm hoping to get Dino on the show here in the next little while. We'll catch him sooner or later.
Dino is a great personality. He's got so much experience and knowledge in the industry. People give him a hard time once in a while, but he's definitely one of the good guys. You know, Dino is he's such a great ambassador for a lot of fighters, man. He's given a lot of guys a lot of support. He was there for guys when nobody else were, and he's just, you know, I think that's why he has such a good name in Edmonton and in MMA. You know, He's just honestly a good guy, and it's a real honor to call him a dear friend for sure.
You know, I'm part of Team Matos, and these guys, they have people all over the world. Literally, all over the world. When they say they're a team, they're a fucking team. They got people, MMA Matos has people everywhere. And it's amazing, because I talk to people in Oregon, and another lady I know in Switzerland, and they know who Dean is.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's got such a good name.
They know who he is.
Very well known. The fighters love him, man. You know, it's great.
And I'm gonna get him to introduce me to Bass.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Fighting, yeah. I gotta meet Bass, man. All right.
Yeah, if you chance to, and you know what, and even guys like, who else is the sidekick over there? Who else commentates those shows? The coach from Iowa, from Bettendorf. Oh man, it's gonna kill me. Who is? Oh man, oh shit. He comes and he used to do a lot of the fights for MFC all the time. And sometimes you get to see him. He used to come to to Edmonton all the time to come and do the shows. But anyway, you know what? These guys like Boss Rutan, I see Boss, and he's the type of guy that he will remember your name. He's the type of guy that shake your hand and know exactly who you are and where he remembers you from. The guy's got a memory like an elephant. Michael Chavello, same thing, man. The voice, great guy, great ambassador for the sport, and has always done things his way. He's never, pandered to the corporate side of things as far as, the catchphrases he uses and all this type of stuff. There's some real good characters in this sport, and if you have a chance to meet a guy like Boss Rutan, man, I mean, that guy, dude's a legend, man.
Well, guys like you and I, we grew up watching Boss do his thing in the cage, right? So,
Absolutely. Absolutely, man.
So for us, he's for me, he's one of those guys. He's like, same. He'd be like meeting Don Fry. Same thing for me.
Absolutely.
Right. Fucking liver kick from hell, man.
Oh man, he's dynamite, dude.
Oh yeah.
That guy is just like.
Now here's a guy who really, once out of fighting, really grabbed the bull by the horns and marketed himself to the point where he.
Yep.
I mean, even people obviously who aren't MMA fans know who Bass is because of his television shows, right? So.
That's right. Yeah, he's made himself very indispensable, and if you look, he's got his hands in every little pot there is, right? I mean, he has. I think he had an extra piece of exercise equipment. I think at one point he was selling. It's like a stand-up boxing thing or whatever. He's one of the first guys to put out a lot of videotapes, instructional tapes on. I remember one he did. It was like bar fights or some crazy shit. It was like stab a guy with a ketchup bottle and use a pepper shaker. Guy's fucking crazy as shit, but a genuinely nice guy and someone who's very smart and has made a career not only out of fighting, but transfer those skills over. As a really good commentator. Some people aren't big fans of his commentating, but he keeps it very entertaining. And guys like that, and guys like Kenny Rice and Michael Chavello and the other, like I said, the other coach that commentates, his name escapes me right now, but these guys have managed to find a niche and work very well. There's been a lot of guys that haven't been able to market themselves and do. You look at a guy like Chael Sonnen, who played obviously the infamous heel for the UFC, and he was a bad guy and all this type of stuff. And one little move can mean the end of your career. And I know that Chael is very set financially, but at the same time, people need to work. And if you can parlay your skills into a good commentating position, like Daniel Cormier does, all that stuff is setting themselves up for something down the road. Now, Daniel Cormier, guys like Kenny Florian, those guys can now look back and say, hey, I might not be with the UFC anymore. I might not be with, NBC anymore, whatever. But you've seen my work. You've seen me commentate. You've seen me, do fights. You've seen me do the press stuff afterwards. So you know I'm capable. And now they parlayed, because fighting's not going to last forever. Right. They parlayed into a broadcasting job at some point. Bellator would pick them up, or whatever. They could host their own show.
Sonnen, he's getting into some wrestling commentary, from what I understand now.
Yeah, see what I mean? Like, that guy, he's just so versatile, right? I mean, that's the name of the game, really. I mean, I do a little bit of this, and a little bit of that, and a little bit of that, and
Double
so
J, Jeff
Jarrett.
Jeff Jarrett's starting he's starting up another promotion, and he's tap shelled into,
Remember he did that walk down there?
It is jump, his onesie.
Priceless, man.
But now there's a guy too, Chael Sonnen. He can can write his own ticket. I mean, his podcast is doing very well. You know.
And these guys, like I said, they're very, very smart with the business, man. They parlayed their skills into something financial, and that's what's important, you know. We got to take care of these guys, you know what I mean? And we're not in a business where there's a union. I know that's been talked about numerous amount of times. I was behind trying to get a union going at some point back in the day. But there is a lot of guys out there that are not well taken care of after things happen. And I mean, as a result of that, we see guys like Jason Mayhem Miller, who's had a lot of problems post fighting. I mean, he did the bully beatdown for a long time. He had a really good gig there, and managed to stay pretty. He managed to still have a lot of fans, a lot of supporters, and stuff like that. But you know what? That well runs out eventually. Those wells dry up. Unless you put a good mental aspect of what you're capable of doing, and you save for a rainy day, it can be really, really tough on some of these guys.
Well, Mayhem, I think he's got. Well, there's no thinking about it. He's got a lot of underlying issues.
He's got a lot of mental problems going on for sure.
And somebody needs to step in and take care of the guy. You know.
That's right. Absolutely.
Unfortunately, it's not what it used to be. Because you know as well as I do, 50 years ago, somebody would have just been put away for the crap he's pulled, right? And
absolutely.
I mean, you broke into a church and you got naked and you vandalized it. Okay, we're gonna put you in this nice place over here. They'll treat you good. They'll pump you full of drugs. And you'll have a good life.
Pretty much, right? I mean, that's the way that it's, a lot of guys unfortunately have ended up on those paths of albeit drug addiction or substance abuse problems or domestic problems at home, whether it be abusive or emotionally abusive. This is a tough game, and it spits a lot of people out, and it's not always going to be in the favor of the fighter. And unless you really stay on top of your career and what you do and the trajectory in which you take it, it's a tough game, man. So I don't, it's the fighting business is not a very pretty one, and it never has been. And unfortunately, we have promotions like boxing promotions where guys like Floyd Mayweather can go to work for 30 minutes a night and make $180 million. And we got guys who will jump at a chance and fight 3-4 times a year and never make that in their lifetime.
Yeah.
And we're talking people at the very top of this sport that there's a very big disconnect between making a career out of fighting and realistically having money to put in the bank once you're done entertaining those fans and being able to be rewarded for some of that hard work. And it's an unfortunate thing. And until fighters stand up and do those things, and I don't know if union is the answer for it, or I don't know if it's just a fair representation in sports, who's going to get involved in that and make those types of calls or, decisions for the sport. But as it stands right now, we haven't seen a lot of movement on that end of the promoters compensating fighters the way that they probably should be, and especially the UFC. I mean, if it's a promotion like Legacy or RFA or World Series of Fighting stuff, they don't have millions of dollars to pay to fighters. UFC, they make $1 million per card, and they have the ability to do that, and they have the ability to compensate their fighters. But they've always had the mindset of, you need us, we don't need you. And that's always been a really black eye on the sport, and I think that turns a lot of people off, man. Yeah,
I agree. But that's going to change. I mean, sooner or later, something's got to give. And Dana White and the Fertitta brothers aren't going to be around forever. I'm not sure if you've heard the rumblings. I saw something. I heard it on the podcast last week, that there's a possibility that UFC be up for sale.
Right.
And maybe sometimes that's what they need is a change in management, somebody else who, somebody has a different perspective, maybe a different,
for sure.
I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, let's face it, once they sell the UFC, I mean, that's going to be a multi-billion-dollar deal when it's done.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think part of the problem with that is that, you got guys like the Fertitta brothers, and for people that don't know the background of the Fertitta brothers, I mean, those guys started off, their father, Frank Sr., I think it was Frank Sr. or Lorenzo Sr., I think it was Frank, their dad was a vending machine guy in the casinos. He was the guy that made the vending machines that would give coins back in the day before it was credit. When you had the cups and the gambling thing and all the coins would come flying out, in order for you to go get those coins, the Fertitta brothers were the guys behind the vending machines. And so with that money, they opened up their station casinos. And I think that's the story. It might be off a little bit here and there, but generally, they've always been in business and been very, very successful and very wealthy. And I think my fear around that whole thing is that, it is very difficult for those guys to ultimately sell and feel like they've made enough money off of the sale of a sport like that. Because, let's face it, the UFC is a money-making machine. And it's difficult to let go of a golden goose while it's still laying golden eggs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think the UFC, that's a difficult thing to let go. I mean, how do you price that out? How do you look at a brand or a product and say, you know what, I know this brand is going to be a huge payday for the rest of its existence, because there's only one NFL, there's only one NHL, there's only one MLB, and there's only going to be one UFC. And I think part of the problem is a lot of promotions. I think they've learned a lot better now. You got guys like Mick Maynard from Legacy, Ed Soares from RFA, guys like Darren Owen, the Canadian end of things for the World Series of Fighting. They've all taken a lot of really good lessons. Whereas back in the day, people would try to emulate the UFC. They would try to be the UFC, and you can't do that. You know what? I had this conversation with Mark Powich. I remember one time, and this is kind of a personal story between Mark and myself. But I remember after the event one time, Mark had given me a ride back to the hotel in downtown Edmonton. This was years and years ago. And I said, hey, man, what a great show tonight. You did really well. And he said, you know what's going to kill me, Jake? What's going to kill me is that I will never be the UFC. I will never be the NFL. I will never be that because the UFC's already gotten that. But my response to Mark was that, you know what? There's still a lot of fucking fans for college football on Saturday, man. Yeah. It doesn't always have to be NFL. There's a lot of money in CFL. There's a lot of money in college football. It's okay to be second, or it's okay to be third. If you just continuously focus on putting out a really good product and you're passionate about it and you do it, you know what, man? People are going to notice those types of things.
That's
for
right.
Sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
And really, honestly, one of my favorite promotions right now is World Series of Fighting. It honestly
Absolutely.
is. People can say what they will. They've got low-tier talent. They're a feeder system, blah, blah, blah. They're not just a feeder system. I mean, there's that aspect of it for sure, but I mean,
right.
Look at they got the guys that the UFC claimed are too boring, but these are top-notch. This is top-notch talent. You got Jake Fields, you got John Fitch, even Paul Harris to some degree, but he comes with a little different kind of. He's got this air about him where he, is he going to let go of the hold or not with Paul Harris? Like, these guys are all very intriguing. And you've got the self-made guys like Ryan Ford, Tim Hague, who had been in the UFC and just played the game. You got Marcus Hicks, I love him or hate him. The guy comes to fight, and he's found a weight class that he can fight at, and he's actually doing better in this weight class than he was in the weight class previous.
Absolutely.
So, and he's also got a gym open now, Marcus Hicks. He's doing some cool shit.
That's right. That's right.
Actually been my
and you know what, and you bring up such a good point, because those are the guys I have a lot of respect for. Like I said, Marcus has caught a lot of flack in the past for some of the antics and bullshit that whatever that was in his past. But at the end of the day, I respect a guy like that, because Marcus trains really hard. He takes it very seriously. And you know what? He followed through with what he said. A lot of people gave Tim Hague a lot of shit about him opening up a gym and doing all this type of stuff. Marcus Hicks, another guy, right, who said, hey, I'm going to open up a gym. It's going to be called Black Sheep MMA. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And everybody shit on him. Everybody gave him a hard time and said, nah, he's not going to do that. It's just Marcus talking shit. And what did he do? He went out there and he did it. And every fight, he's improving. And every fight that he's working harder at. And now that he's You know what? I think that one of the big things, and I think one of the great things about Marcus Hicks is that he's building a family for himself, right? Out of the Black Sheep MMA. And when you have a good, cohesive group of guys behind you, a good training team behind you, they only make you better.
Yeah.
And if you're going with a guy like Tim Hagen, and he's got some really good products coming out of Black Sheep MMA. And like I said, people clown him all the time. I don't. I respect him for following through with that. And it's not easy opening up a business like that. It's not easy going into business for yourself or opening up a gym. But at the end of the day, he did it. He followed through with it. And he's doing really well, man. And that's, you know what? You have to respect someone like that.
His doors opened on the 1st of May. And his grand opening will be on June 20th. Which works really good for me because I'll be coming back from Red Deer. That day, so I'll slide in there. Yeah, we'll stop in there, do a quick little vlog there, and be on my merry way. Yeah. He's already invited me, so yeah, definitely gonna go down for that.
Beautiful, man.
And check that out. But yeah, this could be a great couple of months coming up here, MMA wise. Just shit going on everywhere, man.
Yeah, you know what? And as disenchanted as I get with obviously some of the local MMA scene and some of the characters in it, I get pissed off, but it comes in waves, right? And sometimes I have a mad love affair for it, and I'm very passionate about it, and I love going to the fights. I love seeing people and shaking hands and doing all that type of stuff and watching some really good talent. But there are times, like I said, where I get very disenchanted with what the whole MMA game does and what it brings out in people. And you know what? At the end of the day, man, I mean, all I can say is that I've tried my best to make the sport better. And I've tried my best to help some people out and change the lives of some fighters that might not have had a chance at some point during the, back in the day or whatever. And all I can do is hope to leave a mark like that. And if I can be as respected as some of the fighters that I've had the pleasure and honor of watching and walking down to the ring and cornering and taking hands and stuff like that, hey man, if my name's mentioned in those sentences, that's great, man.
Yeah.
As long as I, give some type of a positive contribution to the sport, I'm happy walking away from it with that.
You know you've already done that though, right? You know that, right?
Well, I hope so. I hope I really sincerely hope that I have left that mark. And I mean, I always ask that question in my interviews: is what legacy do you want to leave behind? And although I don't have my hand, so to speak, in the honey jar anymore of having the pulse on MMA all the time, I am proud of how far the sport has gotten. I'm proud of the people that are in it. I think that the promotion side of things have gone amazingly well, and some of the cards that those guys have been putting out have just been absolutely amazing. And I don't feel like that personally, just because it's hard. I was having this conversation today with that chef I was telling you about, and that came up, is that, you know what, there's certain people out there that need to see a finished product, whether it be a cook, or whether it be a plumber, or whether it be a landscaper. They need that sense of completion at the end of it. At the end of them creating something beautiful, they need to look back at it and say, wow, I did something with this. Yeah. And MMA is one of those things where it's an ever-evolving thing. It's never going to be a final product. Your best card is only as good as your last one. And if you don't leave those impressions with people, you're going to be forgotten about. And I'm grateful, and I'm glad that people haven't forgotten about that part of me,
Well, yeah, it's me. I'm a big fan of what you do all around, and I've told you before. I've mentioned it to you before on personal messaging and whatnot. That I think you're a true Alberta treasure, brother. I really do.
Thank you. That means the world to me. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
really do.
I say it to everybody hears it now. Okay. That's not just saying it to you. Jake Hirsch, man. I love what you do, brother. I really do.
Thank you so much, and Alberta Treasure is definitely a title that I would not take lightly, man. So thank you very much for that, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to tell some of my story on your show and to reach out and I'm always the guy behind the microphone asking the questions. So the questions coming at me for once is a great thing, man.
Kind of. I don't ask a whole lot of questions, eh? I just kind of shoot the shit.
No, you do really well with it.
It makes it easier.
So.
I do. I'm not a fan of the I do my interviews, I don't even call them interviews. I call them chat sessions, really. And I don't have the set format in front of me. These are I know you as a fighter. I know what you've done. I'm talking to you. That's why I'm talking to you. I know what you've done. Let's shoot the shit.
I appreciate that.
And
absolutely, man. No, there's no other better format than that, right?
Well, it works,
just sit
right?
there and just, absolutely.
And to try and just not to be the same generic bullshit I see every day, day after day after day. It's like,
yeah.
We're going to interview John Fish today. What are you doing different for this fight, John?
Exactly.
I made myself a new Afghan, Gord. And,
absolutely, man.
You know?
Yeah, no, it's important to have those characters in the sport, but it's also important to bring out those, like I said before, man, everybody's got a story. It's just how well you want to tell it, you know what I mean? And how well you expose it. And that's the beauty of it, man, is that it's never a one-dimensional thing. It's never a one-trick pony. There's people with some serious, great stories behind them, and just to be a part of that, man, it's been wonderful.
It was. I had Gary St. Lion Magnet on my show here too, and
yes,
he had a great little message to get across too, and I think it's really important for myself to get to know the fighter outside of the cage.
Absolutely.
Because we all know, we're all pretty privy to what you do and what a fighter does inside the cage. If we watch them, we can see that.
Sure.
Well, what about you? And we don't see that.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, right? And that's really the beauty of it. And that's why, when I wanted to get into the podcast world, it was really to tell those stories and to find out. I mean, to have someone like Tim Hague on my show, break down in tears, man, and cry and talk about some of the things that have been bothering him and some of the issues that he was dealing with and stuff like that. That's real human shit, and that's part of the magic of it, is telling some of those stories and getting to know these guys on a deeper level, like you said, than just watching these guys perform. Because I want to know what makes them tick. I want to know what motivates them. I want to know who they're providing for. I want to know, what has happened in their background that made them take that path to get into a cage and go into combat again. These are modern day warriors, man. I mean, we're fans of these shows like Game of Thrones, and I love these shows like the 100. But you know what? It's not often you meet these modern day fucking warriors, and these are modern day. These are the gladiators of our times, man. And these guys, there's something different about them, and I've always been intrigued with that. I've always been intrigued with what makes people tick.
Yeah.
And to step inside a cage like that, man, it takes some balls. It takes some stones.
You bet it does, man. You bet it does.
Yeah, man.
Fuck.
Absolutely.
But see, in my day, we didn't have. Well, probably we didn't have MMA, guys. Like, it didn't exist. You know what I mean? I took boxing. I took jiu-jitsu, but and I had to do both in different places, different cities. I couldn't do both.
Nobody ever brought them together, right?
Yeah.
So it's been an interesting ride, man. Seeing some of those, development of some of the gyms, and that was, people always ask me before, like, what's the UFC all about? Like, why is it? Well, it's really a couple of guys. It starts. I mean, if you remember back in the day, probably sitting around in your 20s and something, or 18 and 19, years of age, and people are always saying, "Well, my martial art's the best, and what I do is the best. I train in the best martial art, and my stuff is proven, and my sensei says this, and you know what? Art Davey came around and just said, "Fucking prove it. Let's prove it. Let's get in the octagon. Let's have a couple of guys make an appointment to meet." And we're going to bash bones. We're going to see who trained harder. We're going to say who had better people around them to keep them better fighters. We're going to have, who stayed injury-free, who trained, longer hours in the gym. And you know what? That stuff doesn't happen a lot anymore. And that's one of the sports that I think that's the real draw, is that we're in the privileged position to watch these guys go to war and entertain, and watch that. And we can shove popcorn in our faces and watch that.
Who could ever forget watching Gracie come out with a broken, dislocated shoulder? I'm ready to and people don't understand that, right? And there's a mental thing there. And I've had fighters that will stand in the ring and will look a referee right in the eye and not know where they are, and they'll tell the referee, "I know exactly where I am and what I'm doing," and or the cut's not bad, or "Don't stop the fight, please." If you look at that fight that the last World Series of Fighting had, I had the privilege of being, cage side and watched the main event there against Josh the Gentleman Hill against
what was his name? The champion of the World Series of Fighting. Anyway, the guy that Josh Hill fought, I forgot his name. Excuse me at the moment. But that guy, I remember the very first round of that fight. Oh man, it's gonna kill me until I look him up right now. But Marlon Moraes.
Oh, when they fought in Edmonton.
World Series. They fought in Edmonton.
Yeah, okay.
And I was cage side for that. And it was in the first round, Josh Hill had broken his nose, had broken Marlon.
Smashed it.
And I remember Marlon just decimated it. And I remember I was in the corner, I was right by the corner, standing right behind Marlon's corner. And when he came over to the cage during the first round, his nose was on the side of his face over here. And I looked at it and I thought, hey man, Josh won the fight. He's got this is it. It's going to be over. This is not going to continue with a broken nose like this. Marlon Moraes went on to fight, 5 rounds and win that fight and come back. And what other sport does that, man? If you see a guy get hit in hockey, he's crawling off the ice. If you see a guy hitting soccer, he's acting like he's hurt and he's crawling off the field.
Yeah.
If you see a guy in the NFL, break his nose, he's going to be on the sidelines getting medical attention. In MMA, those guys are fucking crazy. They go in the corner and they pretend they're not hurt. Please, no, you're not going to stop the fight. You're not going to stop the fight. And that rawness, that motivation, that purity of the sport of a battle, man, it's intense, man. It's great. And there's no other sport like that in the world, man. And that's why I'm such a huge fan of it,
I agree 100%. But you know what, brother? I got to let you go here. I got to be up early.
Absolutely, man.
Absolutely. Fuck, man. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Yeah.
Absolutely.
My day starts at I'm up by 5:30, so.
Holy shit. That's early.
Well, because the wife gets up early, right?
Nothing good happens this time. Oh yeah, you gotta take care of the queen, man. Absolutely.
Well, that's what the queen take care of me, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you gotta bread that butter, man.
And you're cute and all, but you're not that cute, brother. Exactly, man. Exactly. Well, hey, thanks again, Chinny. Oh man, thank you, man. Mean-Muggin. Mean-Muggin, Jake. Love you, buddy. Love you. All right. All right, thanks, brother. Peace and thank you, and we'll have you back. Sounds good, man. Anytime. Awesome, brother. Good. Thanks, bud. Thanks a lot, Chinny. All right, buddy. Bye-bye. Okay, that was a long ass show.